Hello, and welcome to a Bergkamp Wonderland and Arsenal podcast. My name is Karl. We don't really do host here, but I'm the one that's going to be asking the questions to these lovely panelists today. Because at ABW, we are all equal. Just some of us are a bit more equal than others. Talking of being more than others, the man who is always here and has to be here, and without this podcast, it would never happen, Daniel, the GFP. Danny, wants to kick it off. What did you have for dinner today?
I had 2 big mouthfuls of camembert, a dozen grapes, four cherries, one of which was a bit manky, and then I had a litre of water and a pink lady apple.
Aren't you lactose intolerant?
Only for strong cheddar, as I've now found out to my own cost. But for other cheeses, full fat cheeses seem to be okay. I'm all right on the Edam and the camembert, made from cannons by real bears, so I've been told. And tonight I might splash out and have a couple of roast jacket potatoes and a tin of tuna.
So if we see you wheeling off to the toilet anytime soon, we won't ask any questions. No problems at all.
Good. How are you?
Oh God, I am very, very well. Just enjoying Twitter. No, it just makes me laugh to some of the people, but we'll go on to that later. Another person who I met from Twitter will be hello, Femi. Femi82. How are you?
Hey, what's going on? Good to be here. It's been a minute since I've done one with this group of people, so I'm looking forward to it.
How's you doing like trips to seeing the England under 15s playing Scotland? Well, you stayed in the same hotel as them. How was that?
Yeah, I stayed in St George's Park. It's really, really nice, man. I don't know how. I'm gonna actually look up how much they spent on that facility during the show. Like it's so impressive. It's crazy, man. It's like
Shame it wasn't good enough to get us to beat Italy, then, was it?
But they weren't staying there, were they? They were staying at Tottenham's training ground, so they had that losing feeling staying there, didn't they?
No, I didn't. England stayed at St James's. I'm St George's.
When they were in London, they were at Tottenham's training ground.
Oh God, well, that's what you get, isn't it? That's what you get. And the man who's going to bring calm to this podcast, because the man who sees rose-tinted glasses at Arsenal. Hello, John. How are you?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. It's been a while since we've been on the pod together, so it's nice to be on. And yeah, I'll try and be the positive one for a change. Spin things around a bit.
So I'm going to stick with you, John, because I need to start this off on a positive note. So, first game of the season, the Premier League is back. We are happy. Everyone is in a joyful mood. It's coming up to the evening, and everyone looks at Twitter and sees David Ornstein's tweet, and it says that the first game of the season we'll be playing Brentford. Our 2 main strikers, Aubameyang and also, like I said, are not in the squad. Just first of all, when you saw that, what was your first initial thoughts?
At first, I was like, "Wow, okay, that's really weird." Immediate conspiracy theories of, we magically found a buyer for both of them, and we've got a striker coming in, and it's so they don't get injured and don't scupper the deal or anything. And then I think I got a message from Simon, Mr. Collins, because he was at the game doing it for the paper, and he said that they were both ill. Then I saw Arteta's pre-match presser, and it was a bit weird at first, just the way he sort of spoke about it, didn't really say anything. Simon said as much at the time. He said, I think it's COVID. That's sort of the whisper going round, but he didn't want to say anything because it wasn't official, and like medical stuff is all private, so you can't really talk about it. Turns out that was the case in the end. But before the game, it kind of got me excited because I thought, okay. At first I thought, Nketiah is going to play. Then I remembered he was injured. I was like, shit. And I was like, okay, Balogun's going to get a chance, maybe Martinelli. Maybe Saka will start the game, which probably wasn't going to be the original plan. I didn't really know what was going on with Willian at the time. So I was just excited to see what the lineup was going to be. But I still sort of went into the game a bit hopeful because Lacazette and Aubameyang pre-season haven't been great.
No, I agreed. And I think you and I are exactly the same, because when I heard that those weren't playing, the first thing I thought was, Balogun is going to play. And, this is a guy who, from last season, we was itching for him to get a chance. We really wanted him to play, and he only played sort of a handful of appearances in the Europa League, and we really wanted to give him a chance just to see what he could do. Femi, when you saw the team lineup, was that probably as close to a first team as we could, given the absences of our two main strikers?
I mean, I couldn't have. I was a bit surprised by some of the decisions when you look at the lineup. I mean, you guys thought Bellerin. I honestly thought Martinelli would play and Saka would play, but fair enough, Saka might not have been fit, so then you've got another dilemma, don't you? So yeah, it was as close to the first team that we could have picked as probably we would have hoped for anyway. I mean, looking at the bench, there wasn't much that I would have switched out from the bench to the first team. Let's put it like that, to the team that started. And that, yeah, probably paved the way for the rest of the game, I would say.
I mean, yeah, we'll crack on to the game. We didn't start the best, to be honest, in the first half. We were kind of being dominated, and Balogun's first game of the season, first start for Arsenal, you can kind of understand that he's up against two big championship playing defenders, and they're going to bully him. Bellerin wasn't used to probably that physicality at all, one little bit. Danny, in the first half, did you think that obviously we get better in the second half, or did you think, well, this is obviously a very big wake-up call for Bellerin and the rest of the team?
Well, when I saw the lineup, I thought, well, are we playing three at the back? And maybe play Pepe wide and Tierney wide on the other side, because they played a 3-5-2. And then I thought it's going to be Okonkwo and Xhaka in midfield, which we all know. And then, like you, I thought maybe Martinelli would play up front and Bellerin would play off him. Some combination of all of that lot. And they didn't. And then I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, every time, the only attacking option we had was Tierney to go down the left. And then he'd run down the left, he'd cross it, and everybody would look up and go, there goes the ball. And then it'd go down and it'd land on the other side to Pepe. And then Pepe would give it back to Okonkwo, and Okonkwo would give it to Xhaka. Then Xhaka would give it to Tierney. Tierney would run up the wing and cross it, and everyone would go, there goes the ball. And as someone on YouTube referred to it, the Arsenal donut of shame. Recycling over and over and over. And at some point, you must have thought, well, run through the middle. So occasionally we'd see Smith Rowe go through the middle and try and do it. But then the way with Arteta, when he was first in charge, our counter-attacks is what made us special. And then I thought, well, that's not working. We're going to have to do the counter-attack. So we'd start the counter-attack, and rather than get the ball, run, everybody, run, they'd all jog, pass it slowly, jog a bit more, and then by then the entire Brentford defence, so we'd have 11 people behind the ball. And then we'd do a shitty pass, and then they'd get the ball, take it off us, and they'd go and have an attack. And then we'd get the ball back, and then Leno would go, right, I'm going to play out from the back. Oh, everyone's forgotten how to play out from the... lads, play out from the... And everyone doesn't want it. And then there'd be short balls. And then we go through the donut of shame. And then... it's the same thing over and over. And then one other thing that I did notice from the game, Ben White, who is referred to on Twitter as the Seaside Mustafi, which I thought was fantastic. Whoever you were, well done. That quite often he'd come out because a ball playing centre back which is what we want. And he gets the ball and he comes out and comes into where the Xhaka should be. But then a couple of times he got caught out. He couldn't get back quick enough. Chambers comes from right back to cover at centre back, and then Pepe's going, I don't do tackling. That's not my job. What do you want me to do? And he'd just run back there and he'd stand there, or Okonkwo would come across and leave holes in midfield, and then they'd have attack, and then they'd have a shot. So I'm thinking, surely at some point this has got to change. You know what, Karl? It didn't.
No. And they scored. So, John, let's talk about the goal. So, from what I can remember, they come from one of their corners. Corner came in. I think they had a shot. It got saved, and it came out to their left. So their left, our right, and I think Canos sort of had a shot and kind of went near the near post. When that happened, did you? As positive as you are sometimes, did you put your head in your hand and just think, here we go again?
I mean, I was chatting to one of my mates at the time, and I said, "Oh, watch," because he doesn't really watch anything outside the Premier League. And I said, as soon as Brentford got a corner, I said, "Watch what they do at corners. This is bizarre. You've never seen a team do this because they put every player, nearly almost every player, in the box. I think they have 2 just outside it. They don't have anyone on the halfway line. They don't have anyone back or whatever, and they really pressure the box and attack it in a way that I haven't seen teams do for a long time." And it works. It's high risk, but it works because if you don't clear the ball properly, which we did not clear it properly at all, they can recycle it quickly. You're sort of all out of shape. You're going to be the offside trap's not going to be there or anything else. You can't get out quick enough. And they took advantage of it. I think it was just a poor combination of Marie, who had a really bad night, not winning his header. I think Chambers, who didn't clear it properly, probably could have let it go out for another corner. I think it had come off an Arsenal player when he went to clear it. And then I saw some people giving Leno stick because it was his near post. Honestly, I just thought the speed of the shot and like the player's legs it came through and stuff, I'm not sure there's a ton he could have done. I don't think Leno was particularly great that game. Not in terms of his shot stopping, I actually thought was okay. It was more his playing out from the back. But it didn't overly surprise me. I thought Brentford would have caused us problems. And look, I know everyone's freaking out over this game. It's the first game of the season. You're playing away to Brentford, a team that have got a brand new stadium and their fans have not been able to, no fans have been in stadiums basically for over a year. This is the first time they've got to go there. This Brentford team is way better than everyone gives them credit for. They are going to cause a ton of upsets this season. Every year we see it, people write off all 3 teams that come up from the Championship, say, they'll do nothing. They'll just if they can keep themselves in the league, it will be good. It wouldn't surprise me if Brentford ended up something like 10th by the end of the season. They could do a Leeds or Sheffield United, when they first come up, because they're a really well-organised team. They're really drilled. They're very experienced. And this Arsenal team, I'm not trying to make excuses, but you're missing, Lacazette, Aubameyang, Partey, Gabriel, and Saka. That's 5 players from a starting lineup. That all, if they were fit and available, probably every single one of those are starting the game. That's 5 of your players, and 3 of those, at least, are right down the spine of your team. That ain't going to help. Marie was awful on the night. He got really, really found out. The other thing as well, I've said this for years, centre-backs are not used to playing against 2 strikers. Just doesn't happen anymore. If you've got 2 people you're playing against, you're going, hang on a minute, I've got to mark this guy, and there's another bloke over there that I've sort of got to keep half an eye on because I've got to hope that the centre-back next to me, who I've got hardly any experience of playing with, is actually going to cover him properly. You're going to get torn apart. I don't think we played anywhere near as badly in this game as everyone said. Bellerin looked well out of his depth, and that's not me having a pop at him. He's a kid. He hasn't played against men. He needs to go out and go out on loan somewhere, whether it's Championship or Premier League club, whatever, and get minutes and bulk up because he was just getting rumbled by 3 really good centre-backs who are probably going to embarrass quite a lot of strikers this season. So I don't think it's the end of the world. It was disappointing in the way we conceded that goal. Not as bad as the second one. That was awful. That was really scoreboard.
Wasn't that a foul on Leno?
No.
I mean, yeah, arguably that is a foul. But if I'm Leno, I'm grabbing that player and throwing him on the floor because I'm a goalkeeper.
Technically it's a foul, but
yeah.
I mean, he has to do something there. I mean,
if that's a good keeper, Edison's pushing him out of the way, Kepa, any of those kind of guys, isn't they? They're just battering him out of the way.
I mean, yeah, I see. I'm looking at it from both sides of the coin. As an Arsenal supporter, I'm saying it's a foul, definitely. But if I'm looking at it from my football hat on, I'm going to say Leno. Yeah, I agree with you, John. Leno should be pushing him out of the way. He's not going to. If the goalkeeper pushes the player, it's not going to be a penalty. So don't be worried about that. They're not. It's just not. They're going to call it, inbox just. Roughhousing, they're getting pushed. Everyone's getting pushed. Everyone's sort of barging each other. So I don't know if Leno was worried about, if I push him, it's going to be a foul. But the defenders need to also protect him a little bit more. I mean,
the defenders should clear the first ball. The fact you let a ball bounce in your box from a throw-in is absolutely awful. That is criminal. That's really bad defending. But again, that was Marie all night. He was not good. Ben White, aerially, is not his biggest strength. And that is a problem. But I do think that's part of the reason why Chambers wasn't right back, to try and give them a bit more protection on those set pieces because he is better in the air. I think this is why it'd be better with Gabriel. Maybe, like Danny said, there was an argument for playing 3 at the back for that game and putting Holding in as well as an extra one just to shore things up until everyone was available.
Then why did he pick Mark Maria over Holding? This team aren't
because he's left-footed and Holding isn't. And Holding can't distribute the ball as well. It's true. He hasn't. I know he's played occasionally that side, but it's not his strength. And he likes to have a left and a right foot. And I understand because it's the way he wants to play. And I don't have a massive issue with that. I don't think if you put Holding in that team, it makes a massive difference to the result. The problem with that game is that we didn't have anyone on the pitch who could take a chance. So we had like 20-something shots in the game, and no one put one away.
I mean, I saw that 20-something shot stats, and which ones actually stood out to you? The Pepe one,
Xhaka's chance. I thought that was a really good chance when he put over the bar,
and then Smith Rowe, maybe.
Yeah, okay. So like that's three decent chances. How many do you remember clear-cut really good chances for Brentford in the game?
Well, I remember a couple that there was one that the guy danced through, embarrassed a few of our defenders, and then dragged the shot wide. That was a really good chance. He hit the post as well, didn't he?
Yeah, that's the difference that's the fine margins, though, isn't it, in Premier League games? If you take those chances, Brentford could have finished the game 5-0. It wasn't a 5-0 game, but they could have because they had those extra chances. But equally, if Arsenal scored their 3 chances, we end up winning it 3-2. Probably not a fair result because Brentford were a better team in the day and deserved the 3 points. But those little half a second, like, do you get your shot off perfectly? Do you get it under control? Do you like scuff it a little bit? Does the keeper make a great save? Those kind of things. That makes the difference in games. And I think if you had as poor as Lacazette and Aubameyang have been in pre-season, I think if they're in the game and you present them with the chances that we did have, maybe one of those goes in. And if we score a goal and then it's 1-1, that Brentford team, you've got no idea how they're going to react. It's a completely different environment. It's not the Championship anymore. You know, I think the crowd and everything is a big factor, but I just think everyone's blowing it way out of proportion for the amount of players that we're missing from the team. But it's just typical of Twitter and everything else now. Right now, it's like instant meltdown. Anything goes wrong, I'm going to lay it all on Edu and Arteta. It's all their fault. These players aren't good enough. Get them out of the club. Why are we spending this money on Ben White? Why are we going for Ramsdale? Why are we doing it? It's just like it does my fucking head in. I love Twitter because I've got to meet some amazing people and like get on the podcast and things like that. But I really do miss the days of when it didn't exist and I'd just go to the pub with my mates and just watch a game and we'd have a whinge or moan about it. If we lost, we'd be happy and celebrating if we won. And we'd all be talking absolute shit. It made no fucking sense at the end of the game. The next day we'd talk about it and then we'd be sensible because we haven't been drinking or fucking up whilst we're watching it. But instead, what happens now is everyone just spews that shit instantly out. Like the second something happens, it's like bang, instant reaction. And no one takes a second to think or analyse or actually watch anything in the game. I just think the whole thing's been blown way out of proportion.
Karl, were you surprised at the new rule for bookings and for fouls? Because it seemed to be, hey, let's bring back the 60s, let's kick and punch. And there was not a single yellow card in that game. The referee was letting everyone get away with everything. I'm just looking. Tackles attempted, they did successful 20 out of 29. We only had successful 9 out of 16. And we had a 56% tackle success rate. That's not good enough. But with the whole Leno not clearing the ball, he should have looked at that game because that was far enough into the game to realise that either the referee didn't care about fouls because some of the ones that he let people get away with. So were you surprised with that? The new rule on fouling and tackles and stuff? That's
going to change very, very soon because there were some fouls in that game where how some of people didn't get a yellow card. I do not understand. I'll be very honest. That's for both sides as well. I'll be very honest. So all he's going to take is the first Granit Xhaka tackle, and there'll be a yellow card, red card straight away. You can almost guarantee that, unfortunately. But that new rule of letting things go, letting things play, it's not going to last long. What he's going to take is a high-profile manager like a Pep or a Tuchel or probably a Sean Dyche to moan about one of these. To moan about one of their players getting fouled and nothing happening, and then it will change because that's what happens. It's nice to see the game flow, but not at the expense of telling players, don't do that, because wasn't it in the Tottenham game? I don't want to talk about them, but didn't one of their players have like 4? Who was it? I can't remember who it was. Had like 4 fouls on the Man City player, and not one card, nothing happened, and then he ended up getting man of the match because of the fouls that he had. He's just mad. So yeah, it will change extremely soon. I can see it coming. Danny, a question to you. We spoke about this just briefly. John mentioned it about Ben White getting dominated in the air. Now, if I'm a Premier League manager, if I'm Thomas Tuchel and I've watched that Brentford game and I've got Lukaku, all training this week, my tactics will be stand on Ben White, get the ball into Lukaku and dominate him in the air. So do you think there's kind of a worry now that that's what teams are just going to do? They're just going to put a player on Ben White, knock the ball into that player, the player heads it on, knock down, shot on goal. Can you see sort of that coming? Because Ivan Toney literally battered him on Friday. He was nowhere near sort of winning any headers. So can you see that being a problem going forward?
Yeah, but we need to look at the way that it was in the glory days for Arsenal. Sol Campbell would be the ball-playing one, and then Tony Adams would be the one at the back, mopping stuff up, elbowing people, letting them know he's there. And so we need to have someone doing that. And Pablo Mari is worried about getting his hair done. He's kind of a stylish centre-back. He isn't going to go and get stuck in. Bob Holding, Big Bob, he's not going to fuck around. He's going to go in there and he's going to look at these new rules or lack of rules for the defending and tackling, and he's going to take people out. That's what you need in there. Someone, or Gabriel, he's a hard player. He'd be good for. Not seen much of Gabriel, which is worrying me. But all this money that we spent on, but you can't have. You've got to have a hard man, and then you got to have someone, because if he's going to have someone playing the ball out of defence to the midfield, which Ben White was doing pretty well. In fact, getting the ball going out into midfield and passing it around rather than just doing playing it out straight as a centre back. But the thing I'm most worried about is playing out from the back, because they still can't do it. They all still hate it. There's still confusion. And you look at that when we were doing it, someone put a video up of Arsenal from the glory days under Wenger, and we'd get the ball and it would be quick, immediate pass. What's wrong, John?
All these revisionism under Wenger is amazing. One of the videos that got shared was against some absolute fucking no-name team.
I think it's Basel.
They weren't even Basel. They were worse than him. I can't even remember the fucking name of them.
Is that the one where there's about 40 passes?
In the Europa League, and it ended up with Giroud getting to the corner flag and crossing it to no one. Everyone's going, oh, glory days. Look at the speed of the passing. Brilliant. You've got Mesut Ozil, Alexis Sanchez, Santi Cazorla on the pitch. Fucking well done. Congratulations. You can pass it around a bunch of farmers and still not score. Fucking, honestly. Absolute bullshit. You know what we did for the last 10 years under Wenger? We won a couple of FA Cups. You know what we've done under 2 and a bit years under Arteta? Won an FA Cup. Show me the difference. Nothing. Arteta's got a worse fucking team. Move on, honestly. The man isn't here anymore. Give it up.
The one thing that I will say is there was a plan on the Wenger, wasn't there? You know, in terms of playing out from the back, it was usually get it to Sanya. That was usually the tactic, wasn't it? Get it to Sanya, and then he always used to win those headers. I don't know what's happened. We seem to be. It seems to be a confidence thing. It seems that something's gone wrong, and once that one thing has gone wrong, playing out from the back, it seems to have just fallen to pieces. Like, where I don't know what's going on with Bernd Leno, if his head is in the game or what the problem is, but it seems like at least once, if not twice a game, he has a moment where, I don't know about you guys, but where you got your heart's in your mouth, you're like, what is going to happen?
He doesn't look like he wants to be there, does he? To me,
no, we don't like it.
Yeah,
I don't think the rest of the players do. I just don't think Leno wants to be there. Honestly, I don't think he wants to be there, and that's why they've gone out and bought a goalkeeper.
The problem is that Leno has probably been told play out from the back, and he's sort of the person who will take an instruction to the letter of the law. And even if that is going to cause danger, he's still going to play out from the back. The thing that popped into my head, the game, is the one. Do you remember Watford, where Watford absolutely killed us, and we could not play out from the back. But no matter
Leno?
what, I'm sure it was Leno. Yeah, it was on the
Leno,
Emre.
or was it Czech?
Was it
Sure it wasn't Czech?
There's so many of them. It's hard to remember which is which.
The one thing I would say to that, Karl, is I don't doubt for a minute that Arteta is obviously very keen on playing out from the back, because when it works, it's brilliant. And you suck the other team onto you, and then it just creates space. You break the line, and bang, you've got massive overloads in so many areas on the pitch. But I'm pretty sure that he probably also says to Leno, if your only pass is to Granit Xhaka with his back to play and he's got 3 players on him, don't pass him the fucking ball. Because Arteta is not an idiot. He's an ex-footballer. He's not completely dumb. You know, and he knows what Xhaka's limitations are.
Yeah.
So there's no way he's telling Leno to do that. So Leno at some point has got to engage his fucking brain and go, oh, you know what? Maybe I shouldn't pass to that guy because he's got quite a lot of people on him and he's not the best at turning. You know, if it's Thomas Partey, it's a bit different. If it's Xhaka, I'm not going to give it to him. Oh, maybe if I play it out to Kieran Tierney, I know what I'll do. I'll play it to his right foot in a really awkward position, so he's got to take it in a really horrible body shape,
and don't let him know it's coming.
Nick it straight off him. The whole thing of it's all Arteta's fault. I don't disagree. It's clearly his style of playing, but players have to take the responsibility and sometimes go, oh yeah, I'm a professional footballer. I've been doing this for quite a while, so sometimes I should probably think about what I do before I pass the ball.
Do you think it's a fear of making a mistake? I mean, we'll talk about Arteta later, but do you got a feeling that of Arteta, if you make a mistake, Arteta's kind of on you? Like if he has a certain style of playing, he wants to, induct his style of play onto Arsenal, and if you don't do that style of play, I mean, Leno's not going to get. I mean, before we signed Ramsdale, he was never going to get dropped because, let's be honest, who's going to come in to take Leno's place? It was never going to happen. Runarsson was never in a month for Sundays going to come in to replace Leno. It was never going to happen. But it just seems like he's almost nervous. I mean, I agree with Eugene. It doesn't seem like he wants to be there. And maybe
the talk. Czech didn't want it either. It broke Czech, made him retire.
Yeah, but Czech was old, and Czech knew that this was going to be that season was going to be his last season. So, what was going to happen? Either way. I mean, Leno right now will be playing for let's face it, Leno is going to leave next season. Yeah, it's happening.
Could he leave this window?
I would say no because I'd say no just because then we need to get someone else.
Yeah,
we need to get someone else as a backup goalkeeper, and I don't see us scrambling around to try and find another backup goalkeeper. Runarsson's clearly not good enough, and we want to try and get rid of him. The third choice goalkeeper, he's not ready to be a second choice goalkeeper. No way. So I think the agreement's probably there is, let's get Leno, you can be number one this year. And the agreement's probably there is that we will let you go next season. Whoever bids for you will probably take 25 mil for him. Maximum, I think that's what we'll get for him. Maybe 20.
Did you see the Sheffield United player was being interviewed and he said the reason why Ramsdale is so good because he started his career as a midfielder. That's why he's good with the feet. He's the ball at his feet, and that's the kind of goalkeeper that Arteta wants. And
this is the thing. Leno, I think, one, I don't think he particularly wants to be at Arsenal anymore, and if he could move this window, he probably would. Doesn't look like it's going to happen because, like Karl said, because the Ramsdale deal not official yet, but it's done. Should be announced tomorrow if you're listening as we're recording this Thursday night, along with Odegaard. But there's no competition for him. Ramsdale coming in means there's competition now, and he might be told, yeah, okay, Ramsdale's coming in, and next season he's going to be your replacement, and this season you can play some cup games and stuff. But if he starts doing better than training, then Leno, you're out of the squad, and he could be out for the rest of the season. It's not going to happen straight away, but a month or two from now, it might be. No, you know what, Ramsdale, you're in goal. Bernd, if you want to get back in the team, you got to play better. And he has got to improve. This is the difference. The difference between him and Cech is Cech was a goalkeeper of an old era where goalkeepers didn't play with their feet. There was only really Manuel Neuer and a few other keepers doing that. Cech came to the end of his career as football was changing and the way it's played. Leno has still got quite a few years ahead of him. And if he goes, assume he goes to the Bundesliga, he's going to have to play with his feet more. So whether he does it at Arsenal or somewhere else, he's got to improve on that aspect of his game because otherwise he's just going to keep dropping down the pecking order. And he ain't going to get to a good team.
And if we drop him, we're not worried about him being upset for next season because he's going anyway. So it's for him to put himself in the shop window for a Borussia Dortmund, a Leverkusen, whoever in Germany is going to come for him.
Dortmund have just got a new keeper. I think that he was linked to there, but they've just gone and got a number one.
I don't see him going anywhere other than like a mid-table team in the Bundesliga at the moment. He's not good enough to get in the top teams.
But this is what you're saying, like, John, he needs to improve to put himself in the shop window. He has to, because if he then, like you said, if, say, come October, we're doing shit, and Arteta's like, right, fuck this, I'm going to change the team. And he says, all right, Ramsdale, I'm going to give you a run of 5-6 games. Like, you are going to be the number one for 5-6 games. And he ends up doing well. Then Leno is not going to get back into that squad for love nor money. Because there's no obligation to get into the squad. And if we're trying to blood Ramsdale in to become our number one, because he will become the number one next season, then start him early. Start him being the number one this season. There's no harm, no foul. Like, if I'm sure there is a gentleman's agreement to sell Leno next season. I have no doubt. You don't spend the amount of money we're spending on Ramsdale to come in to be a number two. He's going to be the number one at some point.
I just looked up that Watford. It was Leno and going that Watford game. It's quite fascinating. That was the game that Watford had 31 shots against us, which is
I remember
memorable.
that.
Yeah, that's
Jesus.
I do remember that game vividly. It was trying to play out, and we just literally he passed it to
Guendouzi, wasn't it?
Yeah, and then just got tackled and scored straight away. And it's just like everyone could see it coming. There wasn't a person in the world who didn't see it coming, and they scored. But
the thing is, though, you could even see in the Brentford game, like Arteta shouting at him at one point and saying, "Bernd, don't play it short. It's not working. You're going to have to go long." And that's why they were just trying to hit Pepe, because we didn't have anyone else up top to try and hit, and we couldn't get the ball to stick because we haven't really got anyone up top. You had Bellerin, who's getting bullied off the ball. He's not going to be able to keep it. And you've got Martinelli, who, to be honest, I don't think was fully fit. And again, he's another one who there's no way he's starting the game if Aubameyang and Lacazette are available, or Saka. So you've got a really inexperienced kid up front who's not going to win it for you. You've got another guy who is still a kid in Martinelli. I know everyone thinks he's the second coming, but he hasn't really done a lot for a while. I know he was injured, but he's not fully fit. He's had a tough summer. And we're bringing people like Reiss Nelson off the bench. He's not even wanted at the club. That's like how shallow our bench was in this game. So again, that's why I think people are blowing it way out of proportion. I'm not looking forward to Chelsea and Man City. Don't get me wrong; it's a fucking horrible start to the season, which is why I really wanted to win the Brentford game, because at least it's 3 points to get you on the board. But
do you think it would have been
just shit how it's worked out? You can't help it.
Do you think it would have been different if Brentford, it wasn't their first game in the Premier League and their first game, like you were saying, in their new stadium with a full capacity?
No, I do think that is a bigger factor than people are saying. Like, getting on for. That is huge. Like, that is massive.
But it was magnificent for football, though, wasn't it? The scenes after.
Oh, no, I loved it. Like, the atmosphere sounded amazing. It's one of those games where, as much as I would have hated seeing it live, it would have been nice to be in the stadium just to feel the atmosphere. Because the Brentford fans seeing it, and there was the video of the old guy, like, crying and stuff, like, first time in however many years it is, top flight football, and seeing them win against a club like Arsenal. It's a great story, but there is no doubt at all that has a factor. I think that's why you got weird results last season when there was no fans in the stadium. It's the same thing. It works both ways.
Yeah. I mean, someone in the ABW group asked how many points from the first three that I said one, and I saw that one come. I the same reasons that John just mentioned. First game of the season, newly promoted team. I've seen us play Brentford in some pre-season, and they were very, very decent in some of the games that we played them in pre-season. We seem to always struggle against them, but I saw all those factors. But for me, though, the most disappointing thing, we just, as soon as the first goal went in, there was no way. I didn't see a way back for us, and that was a little bit more what I'm worried about is our attacking play. We don't seem to be something just seems to be missing up front, and when you're then looking at your striking options, you're basically getting into a bit of an issue now because Bellerin, we signed him on a contract. What is the plan for him? Because is the plan just to play in cup games? Is the plan to go on loan? Because, like you're saying, he just does not look ready at
Eddie
all.
Nketiah here all over again, isn't it?
Yeah, you've got to make a decision with him to best protect him for the future. Does he need a championship loan to toughen up? Or, there's very few strikers that come into the Premier League, between age 16 to 20, whatever he is. I think he's 19 or 20, that make an immediate impact. The ones that I can think of, players like Rooney, Rashford,
old school, Owen, like them old.
yeah,
The
Owen and
different.
Fowler. Yeah, exactly. There's very rare that you'll get a striker that will burst on the scene these days. Even a Harry Kane went on loan multiple times. He's got the physique, but he needs to play men's football. He needs the rough and tumble. So then you've only got basically two strikers. If Eddie, I don't know what the situation with Eddie is, if he's going to stay, go, but
it's his last year of his contract, isn't it? So, and he's sort of indicated that he's not going to sign another contract. So, if he doesn't go in this window, he's not going to go in January. No one's going to give us any money for him in January. We can get him for free in 6 months. So, if he doesn't go this window, he's going for free. So then it's a case of, okay, what do we do? Do we play him? Do we not? Play him? It's just a weird situation where we have 4 strikers and we're still struggling to score goals. Granted, 2 of them didn't play against Brentford. I totally understand, but scoring goals has been an issue for us even to last season. I mean, until Odegaard came into the squad, even just creating chances was really, really hard for us. But it is the fact that Aubameyang, for some unknown reason, has just declined, and it's been a really sharp decline. And we make excuses for. 2 seasons ago, he carried us. He carried us to the FA Cup. He literally had us on his back. And maybe it's burnout. Maybe he hasn't recovered from getting malaria. Who knows? I don't know what the issue is, but. He last season, what did he score? Like, I think it was 5 league goals in something stupid, like 20 odd games. Like, that's yeah.
He got 10 in 29 in the Premier League.
And what's the season before that?
22 in 36.
So
and 22 in 36 season before that as well.
I mean, you do have to account for the fact that in the last 4 months, he's had malaria and COVID, and malaria can take like over a year to get over properly. I'm not saying he hasn't underperformed. He clearly has. I don't think it's all his fault. There's like issues with him playing on the left or we're playing 4 at the back. If we went to 3 at the back again and he's playing wide left, I think he'll get more chances again. Our creativity has been a problem. But like you said, Karl, when Odegaard came in, I looked when I was on the podcast the other week with Danny and Chris. I was looking at the stats, and I think our average chances per game went up by, I think it was like 2 point something extra, like goal scoring opportunities or something per game, just with Odegaard coming in. Like the stats improved just from the Chelsea game with Smith Rowe, and then if you go game by game of who's actually playing in those games and watch the shape and stuff. Other than I think one of the games that was in a bit of an anomaly, where Aubameyang was playing on the left, like our goal scoring opportunities were way better. So like that's obviously an issue, and that's why the club have done what they've done. They've waited all summer. I know people have whinged and said, "Why don't we get it done earlier?" You can't buy a player until the club are ready to sell them. But that's why Odegaard's come in. We've again, not official, but we have got him. That's definitely going to free us up. I'm way more excited to watch Smith Rowe, Odegaard, and Saka behind whether it's Lacazette or Aubameyang than anything else. Because those 3 looked absolutely brilliant when they were playing with each other last season, towards the end of the season. We know how much the form improved. people still might not have enjoyed the football. Well, if you don't like it, you don't like it. Tough shit, really. It's what you're going to have to put up with for this season, at least. But we were playing better and we were getting results. I know we tailed off towards the end of the season, but I think a lot of that was down to, Tierney being out the side and then Xhaka being moved to left back and not really having anyone to help Partey in midfield. But we were much more improved. So I think the club are doing the right things. But it's not like quick, easy fix. You just go, buy this player. Okay, yeah, we're top 4 again. We're way off that. We are way off those teams. This is something that probably take like 3 seasons to get back to that because we've got so much rebuilding to do. But the club are actually doing it in the right way. They're buying the right age profile players. They're building them up. If they don't work out, they've got serious sell-on value. I had a guy have a go at me the other day going, what have Arsenal become when they're buying players that have got sell-on value? I was like, are you a fucking moron? Like, serious. Why do you think Liverpool bought Philippe Coutinho? They bought him because he's a good player. And they knew if they wanted to get rid of him later on, they could make a fuck ton of money out of him. And they did. And they made like 150 million out. How is that bad? That's not bad football management. That's great football management. That's how you should run a football club. We're not Man City. We can't go and spunk 100 million on Jack Grealish, a player we probably don't even need if you're Man City. Fuck knows why they bought him. It just fill up their homegrown quota, I guess. We can't compete with those sort of things. You got to be realistic with your expectations for the football club for the season. If you want to be disappointed in Arteta's tactics and everything else, that's fine. But I wouldn't be going and moaning at the club because they're doing everything right at the moment, I think. At least in this window so far.
I mean, we can't say that Arteta's not been backed. I mean, he spent almost 200 million. And I think if any other club had spent that sort of money, we would be saying, okay, technically, you should be kind of challenging for the title. We're not going to challenge for the title, not for, like you said, John, not for, you said 3.
I was saying top 4. I don't mean for the title. I mean to be in the top 4. I don't think we'll be challenging for top 4 for a couple of seasons. I think we are miles away. And realistically, if I'm completely honest with you, if Man United, Man City and Chelsea are all run properly, as best as possible, there is no other 3 teams in the Premier League that should ever win the title ever again because they've got more money to spend than any other club and no one can compete with them financially. If they run properly, it should be one of those 3 teams winning the league every single season without fail. You cannot compete with them financially. It is absolutely impossible, the money they're spending on football players. Man United can be that garbage and still go out and spend 200 million every summer because their commercial revenue is just through the roof. You can't compete with that.
The problem, though, that Arsenal will then have is we cannot, and it will. Arteta will not last 3 years. Let's put it like that. It's never going to. However many windows it takes to fix this, there's no way that he's going to last that. And it's unfortunate. Like I always say, I do like the guy. I do want it to work out, but it's never going to happen that you'll spend, especially when you start spending money, as Frank Lampard found. When you're not spending money, there's less expectations. When you start, putting money into the squad or you're spending money, then the spotlight becomes more on the manager now. So now you're at a point where if he doesn't get, let's say, top 6, we're not talking about top 4. Let's forget about it. Yeah, if he doesn't get top 6, there's going to be a bit of an issue for Mikel, or if he's not close to top 6. Now, my main thing is when you're talking about Aubameyang and his decline, when you watch, even when Aubameyang's not playing, our chance creation, our forward, moving the ball forward, our transition play doesn't seem to be good enough to get our players. Like our forward players are so low touch, it's unbelievable. So whether it's someone playing on the left or someone playing up front, unless it's Lacazette who basically drops into central midfield to get the ball all the time, that's how he has so many touches. Our forwards don't touch the ball enough.
But do you think that might change, Danny, with Odegaard coming in? Because if you think of Odegaard coming in and you got Smith Rowe, you got Saka, Martinelli, those players should sort of get the ball and drive it forward. And what you're hoping is that whoever it is, whether it's a Lacazette or an Aubameyang playing as central striker, that if we provide them with the service, and I'm not saying it's going to be one touch, one ball, one goal. That's not going to happen. But I think providing our strikers with the ball is job number 1. they can't score if you don't have the ball. So get the ball to them. Once they have the ball, then yes, then you can talk about trying to get shots on goal, trying to, just trying to create chances. Like John said, our chance creation went up as soon as Odegaard came in. I'm not expecting this guy to come in and, start having like 17 assists every game. He's going to take time no matter what. He's still got to be fit. Yes, he's had a pre-season at Real Madrid, but he's still got to come in to the squad. And one player doesn't make instant success. It's not going to happen. But what you're hoping is if we do have a fully fit squad, and whoever, and if Odegaard does come in and you've got Saka on the right, Pepe on the left, or vice versa, and another up front, whether it's be Lacazette or Aubameyang, then we should be playing maybe a little bit better because we just don't create chances at the moment.
True. I've got some Aubameyang stats from that website that we all love, FB Ref. But you've got a good point there. With at the moment for the Brentford game, all we could do was up the wing with Tierney because Chambers, although I think a couple of times last season he did run down the wing and then have some really good crosses, but he can't really do it regularly. Bellerin can't do it because he can't get back quick enough. And then so like you're saying with a midfield too, say if the partnership is Partey and Odegaard, spraying the ball around, both magnificent passes, composed at the top of their game. Compare that to Lokonga, who's a young man, who was fantastic when was it Lokonga that played? Yeah, it was. He was captain of Anderlecht in Belgium, and he's a really good player. But this is all new to him. So you compare Xhaka, who it looks like he doesn't really give a shit. Xhaka and Lokonga compared to Partey and Odegaard. We see those two playing, and then we'll be seeing balls, quality balls. But a player will run through the middle, and he'll put the ball through to the middle, or getting the ball and quickly passing it up forward to someone who's making a run. We saw so little of that with the midfield that we had before, and like John was saying, wait till we get our players back, because once we got a midfield of Partey and Odegaard working together, which is going to be Arteta's plan, then if that doesn't work, then we can go out and shoot him. But talking about that FB Ref and what you were saying about the Aubameyang stats, the best season that he's had, it only goes back 5 seasons, was shots that he had for Dortmund, 117. And the season he was at Dortmund and Arsenal was 82, and then 89, and then 90, and then last season was 56. I mean, even if we all hate XG, but I didn't realise XG meant from after the game. I thought it meant before the game, so that's why I didn't understand it. But his XG last season was 10.6. They expected him to score, and the season before that, 15.8, and then the last season was 20.1. So he's getting half as many expected goals this season than he was 2 seasons ago. So you've got to ask yourself, Karl, is that from being played out wide? Is that because hasn't got anybody playing the ball through him? Because like I always say, Karl, the thing that will scare you most about Aubameyang is as a centre-back, seeing him running towards you at full pelt with the ball, you're going to think, oh, like Haaland was doing for Dortmund at the weekend, get the ball, run at the defenders, and they all go, oh, fuck. And that's what we need to see. And I'm not sure Arteta wants to let him play that way.
I think the other thing I would say, and it's definitely true of the Brentford game, was true a lot of last season, is that our front 3 forwards, whoever was playing whatever position, other than Saka and Smith Rowe, like Pepe was good towards the end of the season, but there's so little movement. So if you are Granit Xhaka or Thomas Partey and you're looking for a pass forward, it doesn't matter how quickly you want to play it, because if Lacazette has come so deep that he's 5 yards away from you, and Aubameyang's not moving from the left, or Pepe's not moving and making a run, you've got no one to pass to. And then you go, oh, okay, do I just play the short ball to Lacazette, who then immediately gives it back? I'll receive it under pressure and then go somewhere else. That's why the ball always ends up with someone like Tierney, because he's one of the few players who will actually run in behind the defence. So I do think, I'm not saying it's all on the forwards, but I do think you have to take that into account, because they're not moving at all for the midfield at the moment. I hope that is something that changes. But, Arteta clearly doesn't particularly fancy Lacazette. That's why you've seen him not necessarily linked with a particular club, but lots of stories about him leaving, lots of stories about us trying to sign a centre forward. And I think, honestly, if they could go back now and rethink that Aubameyang contract, they probably wouldn't have given it to him. Because I think right now they're in a position where if someone came in for both of them, they'd quite happily go, yeah, take them off our hands and we'll go buy a new striker. Because I don't think they're really the strikers that Arteta wants to play with. They're not his style. They don't suit his style of play. They're not the kind of guys you'd see at a Man City. Not saying they're not good enough to play for them, but the style of football they play and that they thrive off is not the way that a Pep would want to play or Arteta wants to play. So I think the problem is he's come into a squad where there's so much work needed to be done and still needs to be done, like in terms of outgoings and replacements and stuff, that he kind of went, well, these guys are experienced, at least they'll get me goals. I'm going to have to concentrate on that later. I've got to sort out this midfield problem. I've got to sort the defence out. We need left back. We've got to sort the goalkeeper out. Right back's an issue. There's still a lot of work to be done. And this is what I'm saying. I don't think top four is a realistic aim for a couple of seasons because you're not going to fix it. I agree with Femi. I think, if our first team, with Odegaard in, Ramsdale in, maybe we get another player in, we'll see. If everyone's fit for the whole season, wishful thinking, then realistically the team should be able to get fifth. I think they're good enough to get fifth place. I don't think they can get any higher than that. You'd have to have phenomenal sort of wonder season like Leicester did when they won the league and just go on some sort of ridiculous 14, 15 game run of winning games to even think about getting above fifth place, because the other teams are just way ahead of us in terms of experience, quality, depth, everything. So you have to be realistic with your ambitions, and that also means that the football might not be quite as good as you like. You might not create as many chances as you like. That's why we finished 8th last season. It's not a surprise, and part of that is down to Arteta and some of his tactics, but a lot of it is basically down to the mismanagement of the club for the last 10 plus years, the contracts we've given out and all the other things we've done.
Speaking about mismanagement, why do you think it's so hard for us to move players on? I mean, you've got a player, there's so many players that we need to move on and players that are saying that they want to leave. And pluck one out the air, Bellerin. Bellerin has come out, kind of said through a third party, his agent, that he was willing to take a pay cut to leave. Now, Bellerin is maybe not Arsenal quality, but he definitely is quality enough to play for another squad, definitely a squad in Spain somewhere. But to the best of our knowledge, nobody has come in for him. And it's not a case of it can't be his wages. I don't think Bellerin's on exorbitant wages. I can't see that, but it's just weird that he wants to leave. We want to move him on, and we haven't yet moved him on. So, Femi, why do you think it's an issue for Arsenal? I mean, I look back to Tammy Abraham, and I can understand that Tammy Abraham moved from Chelsea for 40 million to Roma. And there could be a little Mourinho-esque issue there, and I understand. But if that was Arsenal, so I'm not for 1 second am I comparing Eddie Nketiah with Tammy Abraham. No way. However, how is it that Chelsea can get 40 million for Tammy Abraham and we can't get 10 million for one of our players? Why we can't get 10 million for Nketiah?
See, now this is where I've got a problem with Arteta and Edu. And I haven't seen the questions, but I'm sure there's a lot of questioning. But this is my questioning of them, is the squad management decisions that they've made over the last couple of years. This summer, let me tell you, I can see the joined up thinking in the transfer window. I can see the young players, the age range, and there's a joined up thinking. Whether people complain about it or not, at least there seems to be a plan. My problem is the panic of maybe let's just say last summer, the not letting players go when they were bidded for, the Maitland-Niles stuff, the Bellerin bid that came in that David Ornstein reported from PSG, the Eddie bids that have come in reportedly as well. Now, what I don't get is, if these players are integral to your plan, by all means, reject the bid. That's it. Don't take the money. Let them play. they'll make a difference. But what's happened is a majority of these players are now the players that we're trying to get rid of. So this is my thinking is, where does that come from? Where's the joined up thinking there? What happened there? Why are we so afraid to let go of players? I remember on the Wenger, we used to have this thing where we were so afraid to let go of players as fans and as the management team. And I understood it on the Wenger because he just did not like the transfer window, did he? He didn't want to dabble in the rubbish of the transfer window. But we've got to be able to just say, you know what, just sell. Fair this summer, Joe Willock, I didn't want him to go, but you know, sometimes you just have to accept it. You need the money. He's a good player, but you know, is he part of the plans? If he's gonna sit on the bench, just sell. Emi Martinez, if he's just gonna sit on the bench, you know, whether we like it or not, just sell. But then why can't you let go of Hector Bellerin only for a year later to not be able to get a fee for him? You know, it all doesn't make sense. You know, fair enough. We didn't know the market might crash like this, but kind of, you know, as football men, you should have like an idea that if there was no money last summer, there's not going to be any money this summer. You know, but let's see what happens with these player sales, because I think that's the major thing that we got to concentrate on now between now and the end of the transfer window, is getting rid of as many players as we can. And I'm guessing there's going to just be a lot of loaning out of players. That's probably what's in it.
Our players are linked. I mean, Hector Bellerin was linked to Inter, but I think Inter just bought Dumfries. So
yeah, they've just bought Dumfries.
So
because Dumfries was £5 million and Bellerin wasn't. That's why they didn't buy
£5 million.
£5 million. He was €7.5 million.
Wow.
Well, sorry, his contract is €7.5 million. I can't remember the exact fee. Basically, his wages are lower than what Bellerin wanted, and the overall fee and the way it's going to be structured to be paid is less than what Arsenal wanted. Me and Danny are both Inter fans. It makes perfect sense. Inter have got fuck all money. That's why Lukaku's left.
Yeah,
you know, that's why they're struggling to keep hold of Martinez. If you look at all the transfer deals that have been done in the Premier League, the only club that's like outside of the big boys, the only club that's really spending money is Aston Villa, and that's because they got 100 million for Jack Grealish. All the other teams, they're picking up a player here or there, but it's like maybe one player for 20 million up to about 30, then the rest are all 2-3 million, very small deals. I guarantee you, last week in a window, it will go nuts and loads of players will start moving. Like Nketiah will get picked up by someone.
Didn't Willock say that he wants him to come to Newcastle with him?
Yeah, I mean, whether Newcastle have got any more fucking money left, God knows. I mean, Mike Ashley's got plenty of money. Whether he's going to give any to Newcastle is a different thing.
Those yachts aren't free.
No. You know, I can see Nketiah still going. I don't think that will be an issue. I think the reason why no one's bought him at the moment is because he's injured, and they maybe want to see how he's going to come back from his injury. But he looked really good.
There's no point in signing him now if he's injured. You might as well wait till the last day of the window.
Yeah,
realistically,
exactly.
He's not going to play either way, is he? So.
No, so he's not going to be back until after the window closes. Yeah. So you don't need to sign him now. You wait until the last day because as a club you don't have a lot of money. So you wait until the last day and you go to a club like Arsenal who've got too many players in their squad. Yeah, and you go to a club that's got too many players in their squad and you say, "Oh, we'll take this guy off your hands," and he's happy to go because he knows he's not going to get game time and he wants to go somewhere and play. So all the personal stuff's easy to do, and you can say to Arsenal, "All right, here's this much money," and Arsenal go, "All right, we'll take it." And I'm sure Arsenal will probably last week in a window end up signing someone and doing the same thing. I get people's frustration with the seemingly we haven't moved quick enough because we've done deals for Ben White and Lokonga early on. But all the deals that have happened have all been players that have been happy to move, wanted to move, and the clubs had the money in place to do it straight away. Whereas the majority of the players that we're trying to sell are all for low fees or they're on quite high wages. So we have to maybe lower the fee a bit, maybe pay them a little bit of money to get them off the books or subsidise the deal in some way so it's structured so the club that's buying them can give them lower wages. Bellerin's on like 120 or grand a week. He ain't going to get it anywhere else unless he went to PSG. And I understand what Femi's saying about we didn't sell at maybe a time we should have. I think on a majority of them, like I think when we sold Martinez, it was the right deal at the time. Now it might look a bit stupid, but at the time it was a perfect deal. The Willock deal, what we've just done, I think is really good money. You consider that we've basically taken that money and bought Odegaard with it. That's a steal. that's an amazing piece of business. That's fantastic money.
And the club need to be congratulated for doing that.
Yeah, no, I think all that stuff is really good. And like Femi said, there is clear joined up thinking. I just think it is the worst window, like transfer window in history that anyone in the Premier League or around Europe's had. And so many clubs are just completely fucked financially. There will be last week's scramble and you're going to see players flying all over the place. Because other than like the couple of deals like we've done for like Ben White and like Villa have done with like Buendia and Danny Ings, the only other deals that have happened have all been huge, big money ones like Grealish and Lukaku and stuff. There's not really been tons of like 20, 30 million pound deals like you would normally see every window. Like by now you'd be like, oh fucking hell, who's in West Ham's team? Because they've got like 10 new players and a load of people have left. Same thing for Everton and all these other clubs. I'm looking through their squads and I'm like, oh, they've still got all the same people. Because they're too scared to go, right, we're going to back all our money and effort on this guy. Because they're thinking if we wait till the last week, clubs are desperate. They need to trim their squad size. They need to sell this player to get some money in so they can do a deal for the guy they're going for. If we wait till the last minute, then bang, we can get him at a better price, and then maybe we've got a bit of money to go and get someone else on the last day of the window. So we're selling players who don't have high value. That's why.
You're going to see teams that will lose the first 3 games of the season, just panic basically and start loaning players. Oh, we want an AZ Maitland-Niles, Southampton, for example, or a Brighton, or someone who's like lost their first 2-3 games of the season. Burnley will be like, oh yeah, we need someone. Let's just go and get someone. It will happen. You're right. It will happen.
I think you see same thing in Spain, like Torreira will end up, whether it's Spain, Lazio and Roma are both looking at him as well. And oh god, there was someone else in Italy I was reading today, or attempting to read because it was in Italian, and for some reason the translate button wasn't working. My Italian is terrible, but I saw the word Torreira and I can't remember what club it was, but he was linked to someone else. So I think those moves will happen. It would. Ideal world, it happens first week in a transfer window and all your deals are done. That's great, but it's just not the way football works, especially in the market the way it is now. But yeah, I would say the window overall has been pretty successful so far. If we do move some of those players on as well, then I think it's been a great window. You're not going to be able to do everything the club needs in one summer transfer window, especially this one. But the work they've done so far, I think, has been really, really good.
You've got to worry about the ambition of some of the players. I'm hailing boys. I want them all to do well. But you look at Reiss Nelson, who's someone who I thought has been really good. 1920, he played 17 Premier League games. Then he played 2. Last season, he played 1. And now they're thinking about sending Matt on loan. I mean, you've got to look at that and think, well, what are you? Plus, before that, in Hoffenheim, the season before he played 17 with us, he had 23 games and 7 goals for Hoffenheim. Now, I know if Josh is listening, he's going to go, well, they're all rubbish goals. But you don't score 7 goals in the Bundesliga in 23 games if you're a shit player, and then you come back to your club, and then 2 years later you play 2 games and then 1 game in a season.
But last season was his fault. They offered him to go out on loan, both windows.
He turned it down, didn't he?
And he turned it down. That's not the club's fault. They wanted him to go out on loan.
But now they're saying that they're going to give him a new contract and send him out on loan.
That's protected value.
Yeah.
That's sensible. Yeah.
I want him to stay. I think he's got a lot to offer with his versatility and his ability to play on either wing, and he likes.
He's clearly got the wrong attitude though. If he won't go out on loan, if
you're
not willing to go out somewhere and play, he's got to be. You got to be. As much as I want a player to back themselves and have belief, if you're looking at that Arsenal team again, hang on, Aubameyang gets played a lot. Smith Rowe's come through. We've got Bukayo Saka, who's been amazing and completely overtaken me from the youth team, and Nicolas Pepe. Oh, and Gabriel Martinelli. And you're
Willian.
And Willian, who you've just signed an experienced player, right? It didn't work out for him. But you're backing yourself that much as a kid to get ahead of all those players, to get minutes. So his agent or someone in his family needed to have a word with him and say, look, I love the fact you think you're that good. Go and play somewhere else for a season. Yeah.
Go and read Bentner's book and then go, oh, fuck, yeah.
Yeah, maybe I should go and play.
All young players should be made to read his book and then go, oh, fucking hell. Yeah.
But you can just see, like, with Vieira at Palace, like, him going to Crystal Palace should be an ideal move. He'll play every single game of the season if he went to Crystal Palace. But like you said, he's not going to get in above all of those players. I mean, it was, I guess, a bit strange that we turned to him to try and rescue the game against Brentford.
What else did we have on the bench? So we didn't really have much.
We had Saka. What did we? We had Saka. He came on, and then we brought on a left back at right back. Like, which I don't know. The less said about that, the better.
I mean, it was Nelson, El Neni, or Maitland-Niles. That was basically it. They were your choices for like I'm adding El Neni in as an option to try and get you back in to win a game. Like that's how desperate it was. So like Nelson's the only forward in terms of possibilities. But that's how short we were for the game, which is probably why Arteta was laughing, because he was just like, I'm fucked. I've got nothing here. I've got a shit start to the season playing against Chelsea and Man City. I thought I might get something for the Brentford game, and then I find out my two starters. It's bad enough Partey's gone, but fucking my two strikers are out as well. Or Martinelli's not fit, and I've got to play Bellerin up front. You know, he was on a hide into nothing in that game. I'm not saying it excuses it, and there was players who did not perform well enough on the night, but there's not a lot you can do as a manager in that situation.
I mean, sticking with Arteta, if worst comes to the worst, let's say on Sunday we don't get anything against Chelsea, and then I think after that we have West Brom away, don't we, in the Carabao Cup or whatever it's called this year, and then we have Man City. Let's say worst comes to the worst, and we don't win against Chelsea, and we don't win against Man City, and that's 0 points from 3 games, and we are already 9 points behind wherever. Where do you can you see Arteta lasting past, say, November, Danny? Like, if we don't get at least something out of one of those 3 games, the league games.
Well, I've pinned to my Twitter account a tweet that I did 9th of August. I've got draw against Brentford, lose to Chelsea, Man City, beat Norwich, draw to Burnley, lose to Spurs and Brighton, draw to Palace, lose to Villa, lose to Leicester, beat Watford. That one I'll like to change that, and then lose to Liverpool. And then I've put Arteta fired. He'll be fired within 10 games. But I'm not sure that they will ever fire him, because they've now. I did this before the money he got bought Ramsdale and bought Odegaard, and they're not going to give a manager this much money to get the players that he wants and then go 10 games, nah, you're fired. I think he's going to last the season. No matter what happens, he's going to get the entire season, partly due to apathy from the owner and partly due they don't want to have to go through the whole, new manager, right, all those players the last one bought, I want them all out, which is the problem that Arteta has now with the Emery players and Emery had with the Wenger players. We're going to have to just put up with it, because it's never going to get any better if you just keep sacking the managers and bringing new people in. Unless you're Chelsea and Man City, then each time they come in, they can have £250 million each. So I don't think it matters what he does. He's not going to get sacked this season.
See, I hear what you're saying, and these are Arteta players. I totally understand it. And the next manager that comes in may not fancy a Ben White or may not fancy, any of the players that Arteta has bought. I think that if we don't start putting points on the board, then fan pressure for me does build up, and at a certain point you can't just keep him in the job. I mean, let's say for argument's sake, shit really hits the fan and we don't beat Chelsea and we don't beat Man City, and let's say for some unknown reason we lose to West Brom in the Carabao Cup.
Oh, Twitter. It's going to be fun.
No, but even forget Twitter. Let's just talk about normal. If Arteta loses his first 4 games, surely by then you're going to be looking and thinking, okay, that's bad. And then you've got Norwich at home, which you're thinking we should beat Norwich at home. Burnley away, a little bit tricky. Then Spurs at home. I think the Spurs at home game will be the make or break. You beat Spurs, then maybe. You don't beat Spurs at home with all the fans there. And can you imagine we don't beat Spurs with 50, 60,000 fans booing? That will send a message, I think, to the owner, because after that you got Brighton. Because then you got Brighton, then you got you got Brighton, and then you've got the international break. I think that is when he could leave.
Well,
And
no
I
one's
saw
going
John.
to.
I see John
I think-
shaking his head. So I want to go to John because I think if he doesn't, let's just say John, he doesn't beat Chelsea, he loses to West Brom, and he doesn't beat Man City. Surely that he's going to start having to answer questions.
I'm sure he'll have to answer questions from the media and from fans being angry. If he loses to West Brom, I'll be pissed. If he loses to Chelsea and Man City, I'm going to be disappointed, but I'm not going to be angry at him. You're talking about a team that just finished 8th in the league, losing to the 2 clear favourites for the Premier League title, a European champion, and another team that's basically trying to win European competition every year. And people are going to lose their shit over losing to them two, the 2 best teams in the country. Are people fucking nuts?
Yeah,
I don't think it's no, but I don't think it's about those 2 games though in isolation. I think I said as soon as we went on that run last year, I said it in the ABW group as well. I don't know any manager that has ever come back from that, and the reason why is because of these things that happen now, which is when you've gone on a run that bad. That was a horrific run, by the way.
Terrible.
When you've gone on a run that bad, you're now at a stage where every defeat puts you under pressure. No matter even some games when you draw, you're under pressure. It's not fair, but it's just the and that was without fans. Now that fans are back in the stadium, I would love to see an electric atmosphere on Sunday, like we saw for Brentford. But I know what's coming on Sunday. I know there's going to be just silence. And then there's going to be, I know there's going to be boos.
That goes wrong.
Yeah, I know there's going to be boos in the stadium because I don't understand how or why or what's happened to the Arsenal fans. That there's such a disconnect with the club. I'm not even going to blame the manager. Let's just say the club, the owners. There's a massive disconnect that every result now is 10 times bigger than it used to be. I don't know what's happened. I've never seen a reaction like this for a defeat like the one against Brentford. It's been.
You're gonna be there.
Yeah, I'm going to be there. I know there's going to be.
You'll be one of the only 10 people there because literally
that's another
thing.
Yeah.
I've never known that sort of a couple of days before the game, you can still buy tickets for a Chelsea game at home, and
first game of the season,
there are loads of tickets, and that could be a combination of things. It could be people staying away because of COVID. There's a combination of things that could happen, but I have never in my whole entire life known that the Friday when you ever listen to this, a Thursday or Friday, and I checked this morning that there are still thousands, not just hundreds, there are thousands of seats available to buy against Chelsea. That is unheard of, literally unheard of. I think season ticket holders were being told that they can buy up to 4 tickets as well for the game, which is absolutely crazy. So, I like you, Femi. I want the best atmosphere there is. I genuinely want it to be electric. I want us to shout loud, be proud of the team. But you can see it. If we're losing 1-0 at half time, from South London, I'll hear those boos, because it will be as loud as it will be so loud. It will just
when the car.
We're not going to give them
the first minute.
Danny, it's just going to be loud. But we have to try and back the team. But I'll come back to you, John, because I want positivity. So, John, I'm just trying to say yes. I understand that you're saying that if we, for some reason, we lose to the top 2 teams. Okay, cool. Let's draw a line underneath that. After that, we've got Norwich at home, Burnley away. So let's just say we take 3 points from Burnley, 3 points from Norwich at home, and we lose to Burnley away.
That's impossible. Sorry.
What, you don't think that we're going to beat Norwich at home?
No, having 3 points out of 15 is it just makes me feel sick. But go on, John.
I mean, am I going to be positive? No, I'm going to be disappointed, but I'm going to look at the games we played and realistically go, right, Brentford was shit. Kind of probably expect. I was hoping for a win, but I probably would have taken a draw, just the atmosphere and everything else. But then we had the whole situation with the squad and players not being available. So, right, whitewash it. Just we'll ignore that one. the Chelsea and Man City games for me are free hits. And if anything, they're the weird sort of games where he might do better, especially the Man City one, because he seems to do pretty well against Pep. If he lost away to Burnley, I'd be really pissed off. But I'm not going to like lose my shit and go, the manager's got to go. Like, who do people? This is the other thing that really irritates me, and it's kind of comes back to what Danny said earlier about Emery coming in and having to get rid of Wenger players, and Arteta coming in and having to get rid of Emery players. If Arteta goes, those players at the club are blind. They're not Arteta players; they are Arsenal players, because this should be the direction the club should be going from now on. They should be this sort of age profile, this kind of style of play. This is the way Arsenal Football Club wants to play football. You should then go and get a coach or manager or whatever it is to come in and say, right, you're only coming to this club because you play the football we like, the way we like to play it. And there's the players that you have. And we will continue as a club each year to invest in those sort of players. So I wouldn't call them Arteta players. I would call them Arsenal players. But if you get rid of him, who are you going to get as a coach? Everyone keeps telling me to sack him. They're like, sack Arteta, sack Arteta. If you're in charge, you should sack Arteta. I'm like, but for who? And everyone's shouting at me, Antonio Conte and all these different names. I'm like, these people aren't going to come to the club. You've got no brain at all. Have you ever looked at their managerial career that they've done? Why someone like Conte has just left Inter Milan? Because they've got no money. Because all he wanted to do was spend a shit ton of money. He will go to a very, very good club with a good squad, or he'll go to a club with a shit squad, but they'll say to him, there's 500 million, go and spend it on whatever you want, and we'll have full control over it. You're not going to get those sort of managers. We're not in that position. So people can bitch and moan and whatever about the results as much as they want. And don't get me wrong, if Arteta gets his tactics horribly wrong this season, and I don't see improvement in our speed of play and things like that, I will be moaning about it as well. But I genuinely don't see the point in sacking the man until, if it gets to Christmas, right, and we're absolute garbage again, and he's had players available, you know, like Partey's been fit for when he comes back, and Saka and everyone else is all available, then fair enough, I'd be like, all right, yeah, maybe there's an argument for it. But sacking him for the sake of it because the results aren't going your way, and then going, oh shit, well, we sacked him now. Who are we going to bring in? Oh, fuck. Right, we'll get in a temporary guy until the end of the season, and then we'll scramble around to try and find someone. None of these things or plans are in place. And the problem is, I don't trust the people above Arteta, and I don't think he's been helped in this at all, which is why I do have some sympathy for him. There's no one above him running the club properly. He has come into Arsenal Football Club at the worst possible time, totally inexperienced, and basically gone, oh, we'll make you the coach. That's fine. That's all you got to do. Just worry about the team. Oh, actually, you seem like quite a smart guy. We don't know what we're doing. We're going to make you the manager. You can fucking decide everything. Please be the next Arsene Wenger. And this has all just been thrown on him. And they're basically having to, you know, like rebuild the club from the ground up, like with scouting, with the academy, with everything. He's got no help whatsoever. So if you get rid of Arteta, you're going to get another guy in. He's probably not going to be that great. He might be, again, another inexperienced guy, and he's going to have no one above him to help him out. That to me does not seem like a good plan. That seems like a really fucking stupid way to run a football club.
I understand what you're saying, but for me, it's how long do you last with mediocrity? So I understand what you're saying, that there's
but then that's again. There's another thing: mediocrity. How do you rank mediocrity? If we finish 6th or 5th this season, would you be happy with that? Would you say that's a positive? See, look, you're it's an upgrade from what we did last year, but you're umming and ahhing about a club in the position that we're in and how far away we are from City, Chelsea, Man United, and Liverpool. You're umming and ahhing about us coming 5th or 6th when you're wanting us to compete with those 4 clubs. We're nowhere near those 4 clubs.
That's not going to happen.
It doesn't matter what you spend. You can't close. We cannot close the gap that quickly. It doesn't happen. We're not in a position to do that. We're not Chelsea.
But we have to close the gap at some point. So what I'm saying,
but the problem is, you do. I know people hate this. You have to have patience. It takes time. I know these are all trigger words for the snowflakes on Twitter for all the Arsenal fans out there to start crying and raging at their screen, because it is. It's like, use your brain. It takes time to get back to where we were. We aren't doing it in one season. It's not, we'll get Antonio Conte or we'll get a Thomas Tuchel or a Jurgen Klopp and everything will be fixed and fine. Jurgen Klopp in his first season was fucking celebrating with his players on a pitch, a draw away against West Brom with Liverpool fans. They're all in a fucking big old line doing a conga and everything, cheering it, and everyone's taking a piss out of him. But he's doing that to build something because he knew it was going to take time to get the club back to where they wanted to be. And they've done that very successfully because they've had a plan and they've executed it. Arteta, unfortunately, is coming at a time where there was no fucking plan and he's trying to do that. And he's lost like a year and a half worth, basically, of his time at the club where it's been a complete mess and he's still trying to fix it. And we
the gap is getting bigger.
Yeah, the gap is
between
getting bigger.
us and the gap between us and the top 4/5, you wouldn't include Leicester in that, I don't know, but it's getting bigger. So, whereas I'm not saying sack the whole shit, like just blow it up, because you can't do that. You clearly can't. We don't have, like you said, we don't have the finances or the resources.
But this is why you have to pick a manager and you have to back him, which they are doing. But you have to allow these things to progress. Lokonga's not going to be like Lokonga might go on to be a worldy midfielder, and I really hope he does. And I think he looks really promising. If he doesn't, he's obviously going to improve at least, and you might be able to sell him in 3-4 years for double, triple what we paid for him. That's great. You can reinvest that back in the squad. But as I said to you earlier, realistically, no one else should win the league other than Man United, City, or Chelsea because they've got the most money to invest. It's a sad fact of football, but it's just the way it is. Until the Premier League or the European, like UEFA or something, come in and say, right, here's wage caps. This has got to come in now. Here's transfer caps. Here's actual proper financial fair play. Nothing is going to change, and there is going to be a gap. We'll be able to close it, but it's going to take time. And maybe eventually we'll get to the point where we can compete for top 4 again. And we might have, you get a season like this where we're out of Europe so we can just concentrate on the league, and Man City have got 4 cup competitions and whatever, and they slip up a little bit, or Liverpool do or something, or Liverpool are the most likely ones for us to catch because they're out of those 4 are the weakest financially. Saying that, they just sold 10% of their club for 500 million. I think that just went to Fenway Group, though. I don't think they're actually reinvesting it in the club. But they're the weakest in that sense. But they're already rebuilding. They've brought in that centre back, the young guy. Because Van Dijk and Salah and people like that, they're all getting on in age. They know their squad's aging, so they're already starting their redevelop for their next cycle. And it's just something we have to do. It's just that we're way behind on them. So we're trying to do a little bit of a bump up with purchases like Ben White and stuff. Lokonga's one for the future, but there's rumours about going for, we were looking at Abraham. That obviously didn't go through, but let's talk about Dominic Calvert-Lewin. People might not get excited by that. That's the kind of player that really excites me. He's the sort of guy who's going to get on the end of every single Kieran Tierney cross. People might go, he's not a big name or whatever. But this is the market we're shopping in. We're not shopping in the same market as the other big teams. And that's the way you close the gap. You have to build the squad better and structure it better. And until, a lot of the deadwood is gone and these players get older and grow together, that ain't going to happen.
Yeah, I understand. For me, I don't see anything that Arteta has come in to give me confidence that he is going to change it. Yes, you can talk about the FA Cup win. If Arteta did not win the FA Cup, he would not be in the Arsenal squad. He would not be the Arsenal manager now.
Defense massively improved under him.
It improved to 8th.
No, I mean, if you look at our defensive record, it's not 8th in the league. It was third best in the league.
But overall, we ended up 8th. All these stats about, we were the best there. Yeah.
But form runs from, that's like, like the season when Leicester won the league and we should have won it. Well, actually, Tottenham should have won it, but they came third in the 2-horse race somehow. Over that whole year, we were the best team. Well, great, cool stat. That's not how things work. But if you carry that form on from one season to the next, then it works out really well for you. Liverpool were fantastic, like ridiculous. What did they lose? 1 game all season and didn't win the league. Not last year, the season
when
before
they
won the league.
Against Man City.
Yeah, they lost 1 game and they couldn't win the league. That's ridiculous form. But what they did was they had a building block and they went, look, we did that last season. Let's go and improve on it next season. And you have to take those things. People might not like it and go, it's a stupid stat from Christmas till the end of the season. It means nothing. Well, no, it does, because players will look at that and go, hang on a minute. When Martin came in, we started playing really well. We were scoring more goals. and we were a bit more free flowing. We were playing faster. Smith Rowe was getting on the ball more. Saka was playing well. Now, even when Saka was out of the team, we were still getting goals, and he was like our shining light last season. Oh, look, fuck me, Martin Odegaard's just walked through the door, and he's not only is he signed for Arsenal, he said he wants to join. He wants to come and play for this club. This makes me excited to be a player and come into training every day. They're making the right moves. So you just, I know people hate it, but you have to be patient. It ain't going to get fixed overnight. This problem has been going on at Arsenal for over 10 years. This decline, it's been very, very steady. And in the last 3-4 years, it's gone all of a sudden, boom. Because what you've done is not only is Wenger gone, and I put it less down to his coaching, because I think in his last few years, his coaching was, to be fair, not great. And not to knock the man, because he won amazing things and did amazing things when he was at Arsenal. I loved every minute of it. I always cheered it on. It's all the other stuff that went when he went, because there was no one running the club. Absolutely no one running the club. And he left, and then you had all these scumbags come in, like people like Reiss and others, who basically came in there to rob as much money out of the club as they could before they got caught. Arteta has come in and looked at the club that he was at whilst it was under Wenger and gone, fuck me, what has happened to Arsenal? I need to sort this out. Because he's genuinely, like, from the stuff that we hear from certain people about what goes on at the club and sort of feelings and stuff at the club and around the training ground, it's the players themselves is good vibes, but the rest of the club is terrible. Saying, you know, Arsenal are not what they used to be. Everything's gone wrong. These are not the values the club used to stand up for. And Arteta is trying to bring all that back. It might be too much for him, and I hope it isn't. I hope it all works out for him. But, you know, that is why I do have so much sympathy for him, and I'll stand by him, because as long as he's Arsenal manager, I'm going to cheer him on and hope that he can fix all the problems there. I don't know if he can do it. He might not be able to. But it doesn't. I honestly don't think it matters who you get in there. It's such a big job. It's going to take time regardless of who it is. There you go. There's my war. There's my War and Peace rant on it.
And I hear what you're saying, but for me, it's we can't let the gap get any bigger, and the gap is vast. It's the Grand Canyon right now, and I'm not saying anything's going to happen overnight. We're not going to suddenly catch up to the top 3, 4, whatever you want to call them. It's not going to happen. I stupidly optimistically said that I think we'd be close to the top 4 because we're playing one game a week, whilst other teams are flying all around Europe and playing on a Wednesday, coming back and then having to play on a Sunday. It takes its toll. Of course it does. Look at us when we was playing Thursday, Sunday. It messed with us, especially when you're flying to the deepest, darkest depths of Europe. I mean, I know
that will be the interesting point of the season when the European games start, and when all those teams having to do two games a week, like in close succession, and we're only playing once a week, to see what the form is like, and then see, oh, hang on a minute, is this the bit where Arsenal gain some points on people and make places up the table because they've got 1 week, bang, 1 week, and everyone else is doing all the travelling. I think the team Spurs are playing to tonight don't even have like numbers on the back of their shirts today. They had to like put them on fucking black marker pens and shit.
It makes me laugh. Femi, I'll just wrap up this Arteta thing before we go on to listeners' questions. But based on what you've seen maybe over the last year and what John said and what I've said, what are your thoughts on Arteta going forward?
I'm so 50-50, man. It's crazy. I'm just like, I like him, but like I said, man, that run last year just damaged my confidence. My confidence was unshakable. I was like, yeah, he's gonna do it. He's the man. He's a man. But I was just looking at the table. You know, after 13 games last season, we had won 4 and scored 11 goals after 13 games. And the reason why I gulped at you saying, imagine we lost to Burnley, in that, you know, the fact that we're even accepting, we're at a stage where we're like, oh yeah, we're going to lose to Chelsea, we're going to lose to Man City, and it's kind of like the fans are just accepted it. It's scary in itself, you know, the fact that, you know, that Arsenal have got to the stage where we are now. We go into games like Chelsea and Man City just not even thinking that we have a chance. You know, even last season we beat Chelsea home and away. You know, but this Sunday, maybe because of all the injuries and stuff, we don't think we have a chance. But For me, with Arteta, I come down to style of play and the process. If the style of play does not improve, I can't sit here and say, okay, just keep the manager just for the sake of it. There's literally no point. And that's what it came down to with Emery. We got to the point where there was literally no point in carrying on just for the sake of it. And if you get to that point with Arteta where you're doing more damage, where you're saying, oh, there's a massive gap for us. If you're doing more damage in the long run than good, what's the point of keeping the manager? We just have to watch the style of play out. That's what I'm watching. Especially our attacking play has to improve. The value of scoring goals, keep getting like having players like Aubameyang interested. If you start getting your captain just looking disinterested on the pitch, those are the types of things that will put him in trouble, especially with the fans. You'll be in trouble with fans, definitely, when it comes to that. So for me, it's style of play and results. It doesn't matter who you are. Arsenal have to be. Look at Chelsea. I mean, I know we don't like comparing ourselves to Chelsea, but it happens that this is football now. Managers come, managers go. Tottenham got rid of a manager just before a cup final. These things happen. If you're not doing the business, unfortunately, no matter how much people like you, then you've got to go. So let's see, if the style of play improves. And that's all I want to see, because I was not. That's my biggest pet peeve about the first game was our attacking play, our build-up play was just slow and just that saying. I don't want to see that anymore. That's my thing.
Oh, good.
Talking about Spurs lost 1-0 tonight into Portuguese team Ferreira Rocher FC, as Mems is calling it. Shocking. That's how far you could end up.
Are there fans still singing? Are you watching Harry Kane? Are they still singing that?
No.
I think that saga is hilarious. I mean, he's going to end up at Man City, isn't he? Like, I still think that saga is absolutely hilarious. Like, their captain just. What makes me laugh is that he went on strike, or he never turned up for training, and then all of a sudden his PR team said, "Oh shit, we need to turn this around," because at the start of the week, if you went on strike, straight away you would be tweeting, "I'm not on strike, I have to isolate," or the club will be saying that, and the club came out and said absolutely nothing to back him. So we all know it's all good.
They took a youth team out there. I mean, what is this?
Their main striker was 17.
This is ridiculous. I mean, imagine that we would have been playing tonight in that game, wouldn't we? If we had picked them in that
would have been us,
last day. That would have been us.
They don't want to play in that competition at all. Yes, it's in Europe, but they don't really want that at all. I don't think anybody wants it. It's the lower European clubs where
what's good though about this, because we're not in it, is they can send out a youth team like that tonight and they go, "Oh, it's because we don't care about it." And you can take the piss out of them for it. If they send out their first team, you can take the piss out of them for it, because it's a competition no one wants to win. And even if they got all the way to the final, they'll probably end up playing like Roma or someone I think are in it, and then lose to Mourinho, which would just be fucking like karmic justice. So they cannot win either way. They're fucked either way. So look, as always, Spurs can make you smile.
Oh, that's so drop true. In the glory days of winning the Audi Cup, isn't it? Bless them.
Anyway, Daniel, do you want to start doing some listener questions?
I certainly do, dear. Right. Where did I put them? There we go. No, that's not it. Here they are. Start off with you, Femi. From Double D Rivoli, who is not a financial advisor. They say, are we as fans, I've not checked these to see if we've already covered it, so if we have, just pretend we haven't. Are we as fans putting Arteta under extreme pressure after one game? This club can't be fixed in 1 year of Arteta. Look at the success of Emery after he left Arsenal.
Yeah, we've kind of covered this, but what I'll say it's not the one game factor. This is an accumulative factor. This is a factor of last season. That's why. But for me, I've gone a bit on the offensive the last couple of days, because some of the disrespect towards Arsenal and Arsenal players is just getting too much now for me personally. I mean, it's like I'm not happy with the situation. I'm not happy with the manager. But when other clubs are taking the piss out of Arsenal, which they literally are, and then Arsenal fans are joining in, when I read some of the comments under some of these viral videos from some channels that have been going around, just mocking Arsenal, mocking our transfer business, mocking our manager, mocking our club, and it's like, I know we're not happy with our club, but flipping heck, someone's got to stand up for the club. And I said the other day, for me, it should be ex-players that just put their foot down and be like, no, you can't talk about. But ex-players are kicking. Manuel Petit's doing his 2-footed in. I'm saying Gallus. Some other players will come and put their 2-foot in, but it's the sign of the times. Arteta, he has to be a big man. He always says it himself. When he's doing these press conferences, I watch all these press conferences, and he starts banging his chest and he says, "Me, it's on me." He has to take it. He has to be. He's in the big boy seat now. He can't complain. If the results are not good, if the performances are not good, he has to stand up for it. Whether it's one game, whether it's 2 games, you cannot look at it and say, "Okay, we lost to Brentford, we lost to Chelsea and Man City because we expect to." And we're at 0 out of 9 points after the first 3 games, and every Arsenal fan should be all right with that. No, they shouldn't be all right with that. We should expect more from our club as well. But we have to stand up for our club. That's what I will always say. We have to stand up for the club as well.
Very true. Right, one for you, Karl, from @sharp_Escher, an arranger of loops. In the light of the news about Alba, Laka, Runarsson and Willian having or had COVID and missing Brentford, does the fan base jump to conclusions too quickly, and why?
Because it's the sign of the times. It's what happens. I don't know what protocols are in place now. There's no restrictions, in the UK at the moment. So, the players are free to kind of do whatever they want. I'm sure within reason, but the players are kind of free to do what they want. Clearly, it's gone around the training ground, because I can't see Runarsson, Aubameyang, and like I said, ever hanging out together, like going down the pub for some drinks. So clearly, it's happening in the training ground. I never jump to conclusions, because there's no. Arsenal find it hard to sell players at the better times. We're not going to sell Aubameyang and Lacazette during one transfer window. Never, ever in the month of Sundays is it going to happen. Why would you not play Runarsson? Like, for me, when Runarsson was in the squad, you knew something was up, because, again, Runarsson is the number 1. Sorry, number 2. Scary thought. He's the number 2, so you knew it was some sort of illness when those 3 are playing. And COVID affects different people in different ways. I'm sure that people listening to this have lost loved ones with COVID, but these are supreme athletes, so I'm hoping that they make a full recovery. It's Arsenal. We're always going to have speculation about our club, no matter what. We could sign Messi and Ronaldo, and there'd always be speculation about our club that something different's happened. It's just Arsenal. We're an easy target. Like, I saw Gabriel saying that he loved to play against his Arsenal defence because he'd have a good time. This is the guy, and I looked at the stats, and our friend Jace, we tweeted it. This guy scored something like he played like 300 and odd games and scored something stupid like 75 goals and scored 1 goal against Arsenal. And you think that you would love to play against this defence? Gabriel
87 goals in 391 games for Villa.
Fucking ridiculous. But so what I mean, it's just stupid people plucking out of, like, you plucking these random ex-players out of the air and just chatting shit. And it is blatantly shit. Gabriel Bonglahor is not scoring goals against Arsenal. Like, it's not going to happen. Like, I think Gabriel Bonglahor's biggest claim to fame was one game, but didn't he fall over the hoardings one time, and then some guy took his camera out and took a picture of him like, as he was laying on the floor. I think that's his biggest claim to fame. So really, Gabriel Bonglahor, fuck you prick. Like, about you love the player. And this is the thing. Arsenal are an easy target. It's an easy target for people, these random ex-players, to come out and talk nonsense. And I think it was only someone like Michael Thomas who then tweeted to say something like, you didn't even get 100 goals in your career. I can't remember the words that he used, but he said something along them lines. But that's what we need. We need more ex-players to come out. Because that was Liverpool. Do you really think that any ex-Liverpool player would allow someone like Gabriel to chat shit like that? Would never happen. Would never happen. That's what we need. More ex-players to come out and call out these bullshit media outlets. And I'm not going to name them. We all know who it is. But, you know, to call them out and say, let's not be stupid. And then that's it.
So that's a no then from Karl. Right, one for John. One from Matt L. Roberts, a fellow Barnet fan. He says, seems a bit silly, but what positions do you think need strengthening before the window closes? And that was today, so that he's taking into consideration the two that are going to happen in the next day or so.
So discounting Odegaard and Ramsdale. Right, the positions I would like strengthened would be right back, striker, and I would probably like another centre mid.
Did you see the Tierney? No, the Atletico Madrid right back, English Spurs, not Cedric.
Trippier, yeah.
No, it'd be a straight swap for Bellerin, apparently.
I'd happily take that. The realistic, what I think could happen in this window, what's left of it, is probably a striker if Lacazette goes. I don't think we're going to get a right back just because we've got so many at the moment, and trying to move out that many players and get another one in for that position. I don't know if we're going to have time. If they get a right back in and a striker and they move out the players we need, that's like the best window Arsenal have had in fucking hell. I can't remember how long. That'd be amazing. I don't think they'll get another centre mid for now. There's still talk about a while, but I don't know. Like everyone's gone cold on him all of a sudden.
It's crazy, isn't it? 2 years ago, it was 60 million.
Everybody wanted him. Like everybody wanted him, and now nobody wants to take him for 20 million quid. It's like something very strange going on there. So yeah, I think if we get another player in, the next position is probably going to be striker, and that's if Lacazette and or Nketiah go. I think Nketiah will go. I'm not sure if we'll get someone for Lacazette or not yet, but I can't see anyone else. But I would like a first choice right back as well.
But there are lots of teams that want to do swap deals with stuff like Barcelona can't. There, Gerard Piqué took a 50% wage cut from 210,000 to 105. He said, "I love this club, and I did what needed to be done." They still haven't got enough wage allocation to let Aguero sign.
Yeah, he won't be registered till January, I think they said, basically.
So he's looking
so much to do to get off the wage bill.
He's looking to leave, and so they're looking to swap players. So the Aubameyang going there, but he's on what 200-300 grand a week here. He's never going to take half of that to go there.
Pjanic looks like he's going back to Juve, and he's going to take a wage cut to go there. And
he's on about 400 grand a week, so that
so he's going to take a wage cut to go there. And Barca are going to pay out some money or whatever, but it gets the wage bill lower. And there's loads of things like that.
Get rid of is Griezmann. I think he's the highest earner now.
Yeah, he is now. But this is the thing. It's like I said earlier, I just think you'll get to the end of the window and there'll be a lot more deals done then. Whether we can get everything we want done in that short space of time, I don't know. But yeah, the striker name I'm hearing at the moment being banded around is Dominic Calvert-Lewin. And the one thing I would say as well very quickly, and I said it on the last podcast, I am convinced, and I will keep calling him this, Dick Garlic, not Richard Garlic. I refuse to call him Richard. Dick Garlic's just a great name. I'm convinced that he knows something about the Premier League changing rules in the next season or two about homegrown quota, because the amount of English players we've been linked to is ridiculous. So he's definitely, I'm sure he's given him the inside track because he was working for the Premier League when he was on their commission or whatever for quite a few years. So with Brexit and everything else, I think that's why we're going for so many English players. You imagine, like I said before, the homegrown quota goes up 3 players, how much more the English premium tax will be higher than it was before. Ben White would have cost like 80 million or something stupid. It'd just be even higher than it already is. So I'd happily take Calvert-Lewin if that's the player they go for. I think you get goals for us. We need to freshen up in that department. But the whole the Lautaro Martinez thing, forget about it. Ain't happening. He's not leaving.
No, wouldn't want him. I don't think he'd work. Right, Sam in New York, who is many things in one, apparently, has asked, all of you can have the answer to this, but I only want a name. I don't want anything else because we're in a hurry. If Arteta was to be sacked, should we bring in a talisman coach like Conte or someone low-key like Potter? So go Femi, Karl, John.
I would love the Ajax manager, Ten Hag.
Oh, cheeky, Karl.
I'm going to say the same. Like, genuinely exactly the same.
John got full hipster here.
I'm picking one of the two that he offered, and I would rather Potter than Conte.
Oh, lovely. Right, Femi, question for you from CDN Guna. I think that's Canadian, so I've added from his bio, just like our Jeff, he loves his family. And I think you put it in the right order as well. Have we had a game-changing keeper since Lehmann?
I mean, I still have a soft spot for Wojciech Szczesny. I know he had a little bit of a. I'm still shocked that he left actually in those circumstances. I mean, I'd love to read a book on what that whole situation was because we had the. You know, he was a homegrown. He's only like 32 now. A homegrown keeper. He ticked all the boxes. He loved the club, and he had been here, you know, since the age of 16. So for me, he's one of my favorites. But Jens Lehmann's, nah. I mean, it's very tough to get a keeper as good as Jens Lehmann and David Seaman. It's very, very tough, especially with their professionalism, their longevity in the game. So the answer is not as good as Lehmann, but I would say Szczesny had the potential to be a great keeper. But you got to remember the teams that they played in as well would have made them look a lot better as well. If you stick Szczesny in the defense in goal for the Invincibles, he could have easily have been as good as Lehmann. That's how I'll judge it, really.
Karl, we can hear whatever you're watching, or were you asleep?
Not watching anything.
I can hear something in the background and you were looking at your phone.
You can't. There's nothing on my screen. I'm watching. I don't know if you remember Phone Shop that used to come on Channel 4. That's on.
My friend works on that program. My friend works on that. He was in two episodes of that and the IT Crowd as well.
It's one of the funniest TV programs ever, and I'm rewatching it at the moment. It still makes me laugh after all these years. But am I the same question?
Should be a question for you, Karl, but I'm going to leave yours till last because then you can carry on with the ending of the show. So we did have a question from Tone. The truth hurts. It cracks mountains. I had to use Google Translate on that. He wanted to know at what stage will Arteta be sacked. We've already covered that. So your question, John. Ryan Carter, a British bloke in Colorado, says, I like Pepe on the left and Saka on the right. Am I alone? If you can do that in less than an hour, I think Femi will thank you.
Yes, I prefer it that way around as well. But if it's me, I'm playing Smith Rowe on the left, Odegaard in the middle, and Saka on the right. And Pepe, you're on the bench because you have to be told you're a naughty boy, and then you perform better when you get brought on in the game. And you go, "Look at me, Mikel, please pay me. I'm playing better now." Also helps when you've got a fullback behind you that's playing properly.
That means you have to put a Chris warning at the beginning of this show. Sad times. You've unmuted yourself, Fem. Did you want to say something?
How long do you give Pepe in those circumstances staying at the club if he's no longer first choice? Because with Odegaard coming in, I can see, and he's signing a 6-year contract, by the way. I can see Pepe leaving next summer because he won't get as much game time as we think he will.
This is his season. He's got to do it this year. If he don't do it, they got to sell him. Yeah.
What worries me is we saw last season, he runs at people, they shit their pants, he zigzags better than any player, probably any better player in the Premier League.
He confuses himself sometimes and loses the ball. It's amazing.
He's full crazy legs. But he only did that a couple of times against Burnley, Brentford. A couple of times, and the right hand side. It's like, why don't you do this all the time? You are magnificent at it. You scare them, you confuse them, you shimmy shammy, and then you're off. And doesn't do it. You got any thought on that, Karl?
I think the problem is you're not going to get more than 30 million for him anywhere in Europe.
And that's if he has a good
market. And if the market's still the same, so the loss that we will take on him will be absolutely astronomical. But if it gets his, because I'm assuming he must be on the high 100s on wages, if not possibly two. If it gets off the wages, then kind of have to write off as a loss and then get someone else in that can do the job. I'm still holding out hope that somehow this season.
140.
Yes, shut up, John. You know what I'm going to say. Yes, because PSG's wage bill is astronomical. You can easily bring in Draxler, and he would do an absolutely fantastic.
Scored last week.
Because he's fucking brilliant, and he would be brilliant in an Arsenal shirt. And I would die on this hill. that I want Draxler in this squad.
And Sebastian Frey, while you're at it, while you're talking nonsense. He's on 140 grand a week, Karl. So there you go.
So?
Maybe you should play him for successful dribbles. Right. So did John answer that? Yes, he did. Right. Final question from the Swedish Freddie, who is Swedish and called Freddie. And he's a good follow on the Twitters. For you, Karl, when will we be happy and united as a fan base? Freddie, I'm going to have to unfollow you now for such a stupid question. You know the answer's fucking never. Silly boy.
Little things please us. If we finish above Tottenham this season, I guarantee we'll be flipping happy. And that's the truth.
Conference League.
Yeah, okay. But yeah, if we finish above Tottenham this season, that will make us happy. I think it will. I think it will. I mean, if we win a trophy this season, it will make us happy. Even if we won the Carabao Cup or the FA Cup, if we won one of those cups, finish above Tottenham, we'll be happy because at least it's a base. And then I can see where John's positivity is coming from. I can see like, yes, we started to build
dedication. He's not happy taking it. He's
but
just joined us for the first time in 20 years. He's not had the pox.
But no, it's really simple things. Finish above Tottenham, beating Tottenham. If we beat Tottenham when we play them next month, that will make us happy. Even if that's our first win of the season,
you're gonna put
telling
money
you
on
now, don't be so ridiculous. That will make us happy. So just little things. Do you know what will make me happy, Danny?
If you got on with it.
That and the last game of the last day of the transfer market, and for some unknown reason, Sky outside the Emirates, and you just see Julian Draxler come outside with his shirt and just holding it up. And do you know what I would do? I would personally FaceTime John, and I will be, my smile will be from ear to ear, just smiling. And all I will say, do you know, I won't say anything. I'll just say, my smile will just say, I told you so, because that will be it.
And you get Draxler to stick his head in and go, hello, John.
You know, Arteta will stick him right back, Karl, so you'll fucking hate it anyway, so I won't worry.
Probably true, no, that's the thing. No, it doesn't surprise me. Anyway, this was an absolutely lovely discussion. We've turned a negative result into a positive. We're about to sign 2 players, whether you like them or not, we've got to support them. And people, if you're fucking messaging players that we haven't even signed yet on social media, telling them that's time for the club, just fuck off. Like, stop being stupid. Like, because do you know what the worst thing is? You're not doing that to his face, and that's normal with people with social media account, football avy Twitter, as I call them, because that's what they are. They don't show their real face. Like, you're texting or messaging people saying, "Don't sign for my club. I don't want you." Come on, you got to back players. Like, yes, we're getting Ramsdale. He may not be the person that you want, but he's the person that's going to be our number 1 for a few seasons. And we're getting Odegaard for still at 30 million. The guy is going to The guy's going to change the way we play. I'm not saying he's going to transform us, but he's going to change the way we play. And you got to support the players who are here. Like, even if you don't like them, they're an Arsenal player. You just got to back them and support them. If you want to have a moan when we lose, fuck it, so be it. But don't need to abuse them. Just moan. Just every time we lose, direct every single piece of anger to KC runs. Every single piece of anger that you have, just direct it to Chris. Chris will happily take it all, take all the abuse. You seen the trousers that he wears? That's a man that's used to being abused. Trust me. Like, I have no other words. Anyway, I want to thank everyone today. Femi, thank you for turning up today.
Thank you, guys. Can I just say also on that last point that you made, if you listen, football's for enjoyment. If you're gonna behave like this about football, you're killing yourself, to be honest with you. You're making yourself miserable. If you love a football club, they're not going anywhere. These players have been signed for years. They're not going anywhere. If you're just going to abuse players and abuse and hate, you're going to hate your own life, to be honest with you. That's my parting message.
See, listen to Femi. The man knows. I want to thank John as well, and hopefully one day those rose-tinted glasses may come off, but no time in any time in the near future. But John, you are a shining light of positivity, and when Draxler signs, I hope you are exactly the same.
Look, if we sign Draxler, I will cheer him on every single week. I will moan about him not doing what I want him to when he doesn't do it, but I will still cheer for him when he signs. And yeah, agree with the Ramsdale and the Odegaard stuff. If you're sending them messages, honestly, please just fuck off. Instead, can you just send messages to Danny on Twitter about how he's an idiot for not watching The Sopranos? Watch after the pilot episode, and it gets really good. Even the pilot episode's good. You're missing the best television that has ever been made, you fucking moron. So
you sound like Femi and the fucking Walking Dead.
The Wire. Sorry. And Danny, watch The Sopranos, watch The Wire, and you always have... Well, don't shake your head at me.
Oh, Wire's very good. It's magnificent.
The Wire is the best TV program ever made.
No,
Full stop.
I think you find that is Lovejoy or Seinfeld.
Yeah, on this note, I'm going to end the podcast and get back to watching Phone Shop. If you haven't watched it, people, watch Phone Shop on 4OD. You will laugh. It is so funny. It is unbelievable. And that is my TV of the night. So, everyone, thank you for coming and turning up and listening, everyone. And by the time you listen to this, we may have 2 new signings, which I hope that we all celebrate and enjoy. And next week, we shall be on after we maybe beat Chelsea and also beat West Brom, because we're playing them on Wednesday, I want to say. Wednesday. It's probably not. It is Wednesday. I got it right. Yes, Wednesday away. So, everyone, enjoy your week. Thumbs up on this podcast. And remember, like I said, all the abuse Danny, abuse Chris. Just don't abuse the players that haven't even worn the shirt for Arsenal yet. No, let's just support them. As always, hashtag fuck Ellis, and I shall see everyone next week. So take care.